Good evening and welcome to Keto Confab. My name is Elizabeth Hanson, and along with my husband, Scott Hanson, we are Keto Confab. Keto Confab is a group of people trying to live the keto lifestyle, especially according to the teachings of Dr. Annette Bosworth and the books she has written, Any Way You Can, and the Keto Continuum and the Keto Continuum Workbook. And we don't sell anything here. We don't promote anything other than eating healthy and regaining your health or losing weight, whatever you're doing keto for. And since the beginning of this year, I think this is our 4th meeting this month, we have been working on the Keto Continuum Workbook. We're just going through it bit by bit, reviewing how to start keto, how to stay on keto, how to work through problems on keto. And tonight we are on section 2, which is page 32, section 2, page 32 and onward. And section 2 covers the first week of keto. Now, the first 3 meetings of the year, we went over the first portion of the book, which talks about building your tribe of people who will be able to support you, and learning what your why is, why you're doing this, and really getting deep into the reasons why you want to do keto, and then looking at what supplies you're going to need and what things you should do, especially if you're in the 200 club. And we'll talk about the 200 club a little bit tonight. So you've written your why, you've found your group of people you want to work with to support you and you can support them. And you've made the decision, I'm doing this, and you've gotten in all your supplies that you think you're going to need. And you've made a plan. So for the first week, there are 3 things Dr. Boz wants you to do. The first thing she wants you to do is no sugar, no starch, but eat high fat. Now, what do we mean by high fat? Scott, can you talk about that?
High fat. Sugar, basically foods that are high in fat content. Such as avocado, butter. In fact, butter is 100% fat content. So, and 40% heavy whipping cream. That's very high in fat content. I think it has a little bit of protein. I'd have to look it up. And also the 40% heavy whipping cream has less carbohydrate than milk. Because there is a little carbohydrate in milk. Beef, especially beef that's not lean beef, has a good fat content as well. Bacon, pork bacon has good fat content as well. So foods like that. Things like almonds and peanuts, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, they have a good fat content as well.
So when I started eating keto, one of the things she suggests, if you want to do it, it's not necessary. You can use MCT 8, C8, C10 capsules or supplements to help get your fat numbers up. But these are made from coconut oil, and I can't do coconut oil, so I couldn't do these. But a lot of people can to help increase their fat. Instead of getting lean, as lean as possible hamburger, you can get more fatty hamburger. You can get fattier cuts of meat, like your pork belly or your bacon meat is much fattier than a tenderloin. Those are less fat. And you can also, pick fattier cuts of beef, like a roast or a steak that has visible beef or visible fat in it. One of the other things Dr. Boz suggests is eating Braunschweiger, because that has a lot of fat in it. That's basically beef liver, and it's very fatty. And you don't eat anything that has the label low fat. That's over. No more low fat. You don't drink skim milk. If you're going to drink milk, you drink whole milk, or whipping cream. So no sugar, and that's any kind of sugar, but your high fructose corn syrups, your maple syrup, your cane sugars, your stevia, and all of that. You stay away from those, as much as possible. Now, some people like to have a little stevia in their tea or in their coffee. It's best to just cut it off right away. It helps with cravings to get rid of as much of that as possible. And then her second rule is the only number you really need to think about is 20, and that's 20 carbs. And so you need to before you start, you need to look at all your foods that you usually eat and find out how many carbs each of them have. Such as, let's say you're used to having a yogurt every day. Well, not all yogurts are the same. My daughter likes a brand of yogurt, which is 16 carbs in a little cup. But we have a friend that likes a different kind of yogurt, and in her yogurt container is 33 carbs. But the one that I like to buy only has 7 carbs in a cup, and I'll have one a day. Unfortunately, it's low fat, but at least I don't have all the carbs because it's no sugar. Anyway, so you need to cut out the sugar and starches. Now, what are starches? Well, starches are all of your breads, and all of your crackers and all of your noodles and your potatoes. And then there are certain vegetables that are starches too. Peas, corn, carrots are kind of a starchy vegetable. So are green beans, but they're not as starchy as the other ones. But cutting out your starchy vegetables is also necessary. And then, of course, eat high fat. Then the second step is 20 carbs. Try and stick to 20 carbs a day. And then the third thing she likes people to do is to use these urine strips. And you pee on the urine strips, and you usually first thing in the morning. And when it starts to turn pink, you're making ketones. And so you want to watch for that. You want to do that every morning. You can do it at other times of the day, but the urine strips, but you have to be careful with those. They need to be fresh, and you need to shut the package right away so they don't get too much moisture in them, or too much light, or they get ruined and you have to buy another package. But they're inexpensive. I think they come 50 to a pack. That brand isn't the exact brand Dr. Boz prefers, but it's just one I had here on hand. So that's what you're going to do on day 1 and day 2 and day 3. You're going to do step 1, no sugar, no starch, but high fat. If you're having chicken or turkey, eat the skin. If you're having beef or pork or lamb, get a slice or a serving that has visible fat. You want that fat. Cook in coconut oil or avocado oil. Don't use seed oils. Those are not as healthy for you. Eat avocado, eat eggs. Eggs are a good source of fat. And whipping cream and butter. If you're going to cook something, cook it in butter. Butter's good. And pee on your ketone strips, and keep track of how many days it takes for your pee strip to turn pink or purple. A pink or purple ketone strip means you're producing ketones, which is important. A white ketone strip means no ketones. So you want to eat fat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each of those days. You can dip foods in mayonnaise or mustard, or sour cream, or hot sauce, or ranch dressing. You don't want the low-fat sour cream or the low-fat ranch dressing. You want full-fat kind. Try and find a kind that doesn't have added sugars, because that will add carbs. But mayonnaise doesn't have any carbs. Well, there are a couple of brands that do. So read your labels. And then what should you drink? Well, water. Water is the best thing for drinking. I have several bottles like this that follow me around wherever I am, at my office at home, at my office on Main Street, upstairs in my, when I'm in my home. They follow me from the kitchen to the bedroom, everywhere, and I drink on my bottles of water. And I put in my bottles of water some Redmond real salt. This is available on Amazon. We don't happen to sell it in any of our local stores, but we live in a very small town in rural North Dakota, so it doesn't surprise me. I ordered this online. When I'm salting my food, I also use Redmond's real salt. These are little salt crystals. I don't know if you can see little salt crystals, and this has a grinder that you grind them. So they come off, the coarse crystals come off fresh off the rock. And you can drink coffee or tea. You're not to put any sugar additives in your coffee or tea. If you want, you can put cream in your coffee for now, and sprinkle a little salt in it. It really helps with the taste. I don't drink coffee, so I can't tell you. I'm a tea drinker. And some people don't like the idea of putting salt in their coffee, but it really does help with the flavor. I have a number of friends through keto that say that they really like their coffee with a little bit of salt, and salt is very important. But you're not to drink protein shakes or smoothies or green smoothies. We are trying to correct your body chemistry, your metabolism and body chemistry. So those two things mess stuff up. I know everybody's like, oh, but my protein shake is so healthy and I get all my protein. Many times the protein from those shakes are from sources that are not going to help your body chemistry. They're from soy, or they're from rice, or they're from whey. And those are not going to help your body chemistry. Plus they have additives. Most of them will have some sugar source, sometimes stevia, sometimes other types of sugar. So it's best for you not to use any of those. And then one of the other things you could do is Dr. Boz on her website, and I think she sells them on Amazon too, has some drinks like lemonade, or there's a chocolate drink that is actually BHB to help the body produce ketones. Now, I don't do the BHB drinks, And Scott doesn't seem to have any trouble producing ketones at all, so he doesn't do them either. I have done the BHB capsules. The reason I don't do the drinks is because there are additives in there that I can't have, such as stevia. I'm allergic to stevia and I can't do anything with stevia. So I take the capsules from time to time if I want to try and bump up my ketone numbers. Or if like I'm having a low energy day and I want to try and have a more high energy day, I will take some BHB, but I don't take them very often. Usually I've got good energy going, so I don't need to take them. So then we're on to day 3. Oh, if you have high blood pressure or you're on blood pressure medication, be checking your blood pressure, because some people's blood pressures will drop as soon as you stop eating the sugar and the starch and you're drinking a lot of water. Your blood pressure will go down. Now that didn't happen with me. I happen to have hypertension. My blood pressure took months to come down, but you know, everybody's chemistry is different and it can be more complicated, and mine was a bit complicated, but now it stays pretty good as long as I follow the keto diet. The other things you can do while you're getting into ketosis are take Epsom salt baths and watch your bowel movements and get enough sleep. Getting enough sleep helps the body's metabolism and chemistry get back to normal faster. Not getting enough sleep, going to bed way too late at night messes with the body's chemistry and can cause problems and keep you from going into ketosis. It's also not very healthy for your organs. There's a cycle. We call it the circadian rhythm, and we think, oh yeah, that's day and night. But it also affects all of our organs and endocrines and their function. So getting more sleep at a good hour, not staying up till 2 every morning, is healthy. So in the first week, you're just going to be watching how your body adjusts to keto chemistry. And so you're watching all the signs. You're watching your blood pressure, your heart rate, you're watching how many carbs you're eating each day. You're trying to eat fat and drink water with a little salt in it. And you're watching for your bowels to move normally. Now, some people will get a bit of constipation. Now, the wonderful thing about this workbook is it has a whole big section on constipation. If the bowels are too slow, they're constipated, and she has a number of ways to help yourself, because when we're changing body chemistry, it can change how the bowel processes the food and drink that you eat, and things can take a little longer. And so she talks about drinking salty water, using chia seeds to get yourself to go, milk and magnesia, an abdominal massage, or exogenous ketones can also help. These are exogenous ketones can also help with constipation. Now, I've dealt with constipation in my own life before keto, and that was usually when I ate any kind of gluten grains, I would get constipated. And it's not pleasant, but since keto cuts out all of the grains, I surprisingly didn't have any constipation in going on keto. Very rarely will there be some people who will get looser stools when they're on keto, but most of the time, if there's an issue, it's constipation. So the book goes into the chia seed protocol, how to do the chia seed so that you can get your bowels to start moving. I'm not going to go through all of that because it's a bit much and individual to the person, but it's all written out in the workbook. Also, if you happen to be one of the few people that bowels become too loose, she has ideas for that here in the workbook. It's really complete, so you don't have to worry, okay, what do I do if this happens? So then what if during this first week you don't get any ketones? A lot of people will start showing ketones around day 4 or 5. But if you have been, if you're a diabetic or you have been a long time person who is insulin resistant, you may take much longer. It took me 2 weeks or so to start showing ketones in my urine. And so she has ways to work on your ketones in the workbook. So if by the end of day 4, you've not had any ketones in your urine, you should check your pee strips to see their expiration date. Think about whether they've been left open all day while you're at work, or you've left them exposed to the light at some time, and get some new ones. They're not expensive, like I said. Or are you eating too many carbs? Have you used the Chronometer app on your phone or your computer to really truly count how many carbs you're eating? And are you drinking alcohol, or are you having other beverages that you shouldn't have, such as a soda, a 0 sugar, 0 carb soda? That can keep you out of ketosis. Also, if you were a person who was heavily drinking or regularly drinking before you went into trying to do keto, you will take longer to produce ketones. And that is because of what alcohol does to the liver. And so you just have to wait. If you're a type 1, type 2 diabetic, or you have insulin resistance or undiagnosed diabetes, it will also take longer. Last week, we talked about being in the 200 plus club. That means that when you do a survey of what you've been eating every day, you find out that you've been eating more than 200 carbs a day. You are going to take longer, and you should ease into keto. When I decided to do keto, it was the middle of November, and I decided I'm doing this. And I counted how many carbs I was eating each day, and I don't even like to say, but it was definitely over 200. And I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna have to go slow. So I used the rest of November and all of December to slowly cut things out and stop eating the carbs I was eating. And then the 1st of January, I was ready to go 20 carbs. And I think that's one of the reasons I didn't have the constipation problems, and I didn't get the keto flu that some people get, because I eased in to ketones. So the workbook talks about the 200 club. It talks more about your ketones in a can or ketones in a capsule, which are those drinks that I don't happen to have any of them to show you, or the capsules that I take occasionally. So there's a lot of discussion about that. There are other products out there, but many of them are not as scrupulous about the things that the additives and things that they have in them. So do be very careful and read labels. Make sure you're not getting extra carbs from some beverage that's supposed to help you with keto. In the first 2 weeks, she doesn't want you eating any white stuff. And white stuff is considered breads, rice, potatoes, pasta, and pastries. Well, course, pastries are going to be out because they have sugar, and bread has sugar in it too. And potatoes and rice are very starchy. I was very surprised when I started doing all of this. I got a monitor. I should have had it out. I got a ketone monitor, and I started not just ketones, but blood sugar monitor. And I started checking my blood sugar. It's not my ketones because I knew I wasn't going to have any ketones yet. But I started checking my blood sugars, and I could not believe I could eat a dish of ice cream, like a cup and a half of ice cream, double chocolate ice cream, and my blood sugar would not go as high as if I ate a cup of cooked rice. Cooked rice made my blood sugar go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, it was like 160, okay? I know there are people that have 400 and stuff like that, but I wasn't a diabetic. I just could not believe how much rice, plain, unadulterated rice, made my blood sugar go up. So rice is a no for me. I miss rice. I would like to eat rice, but it's a no. I don't like my blood sugars up there in the stratosphere. And then also one of the things Dr. Boz wants you to do in the first and second week, she doesn't want you to actually go shopping and buy all sorts of supplies and keto this and keto that. She wants you to start cleaning out your cupboards and your fridge. Now, for many people, this isn't possible because they live with other people and have to share kitchen space, or they have to cook for children or husbands or wives. So it isn't possible, but the more I looked at what was in my kitchen, I was actually horrified by how many carbs were in things, such as I think there was a kind of soup that I looked at, a gluten-free soup, and there were like 45 carbs in a serving. And I used to eat the whole can, it was one of those cans you warmed up and it supposedly had 2 servings in it. I'd eat the whole can. That was over 100 carbs for soup. It's not worth it. No. So do start looking at all of your labels, look them up on the Chronometer app, clean out your cupboard, and that's important. Now, the next section, we're now on page 58 of the workbook. Page 58 of the workbook starts talking about the emphasis Dr. Boz puts on magnesium. It's magnesium that helps you not have the symptoms of the keto flu. And so having magnesium in place, having extra magnesium, especially if you get constipated, using Epsom salts, which is a type of magnesium and salt, helps the body convert into a better body chemistry. And taking magnesium supplements and everything. And I like this portion of the workbook because it gives some visuals about how well magnesium absorbs and how much magnesium you're going to absorb from a foot bath as opposed to soaking in magnesium. And I like this portion of the book because it really explains it. People are like, oh, I soaked my feet in magnesium, but it didn't seem to do anything. Well, that's not enough magnesium. And so she even gives a whole chart on what a magnesium deficiency or shortage kind of symptoms you would get if you're not getting enough magnesium. And you can get neck pain, back pain, headaches, muscle cramps, depression, worry, memory, brain fog, mood, and grouchiness. I know some people that I think are chronically in a state of lack of uh, lack of magnesium because they're always grouchy. Anyway, then the rest of this section, section 2, goes on to talk about calories and cravings and how to avoid cravings and what calories really are and why they aren't the best gauge of how we're doing on our diet. And they aren't the best helper when we're trying to fix our body chemistry. And then she talks about emotions and how cravings are linked to our emotions, and we need to become more aware. And she gives a couple of food craving exercises, 10-minute food craving exercises, and some charts for you to work on those with. And those can be very helpful. When I first started keto, that first week, had a lot of cravings. After that, it got better. But anytime I would cheat or go off keto, because like I went to a party or something important, family, something, it would be a problem. And then she talks again, she talked about this in the first section about meetings and mirror neurons and how being with people who want the same goal you have, which is to stay keto and everything, is important and should not be underestimated as something to help you with. And then she has at the end of this section the Keto Continuum roadmap, where you start at number 1, and where you're eating every 2 to 4 hours. And then number 2 is you eat every 6 to 8 hours. And number 3, you accidentally miss a meal. Number 4, you eat 2 meals a day, etc. And so when we're in this first part, she expects you to be able to go through areas 1 through 4, probably in the first 2 weeks. But if you can't, you can't. This is all on your time. And that is where, at the end of this section, she has this little poster that says, "You are not hungry, you're bored. Shut the door." So you can put this on any cupboards or fridges or whatever to try and help yourself not, sit around and think about food and, what can I eat? Because boredom is not a good reason to eat. You should only eat when you're hungry. So that's section 2. And that's what we were going to cover this evening. And I'm sorry no one else joined us tonight, but sometimes Wednesday nights are difficult because a lot of people have church on Wednesday night or family things. And that's how it goes. So Scott, do you have anything to add?
No, not really. No.
Okay. So, well, that's what we have for you this week. Next week, we'll continue on to section 3, which discusses becoming keto adapted and what that means and what kind of challenges you can face in the next phase after you've been keto at least 2 weeks. And we'll discuss that next week. And thank you so much for listening. I'm going to turn the recording off now if I can find the play.
Okay, thank you, everybody. And
yeah, thank you and good night.
bye.